Hey everyone! So recently I happened upon a copy of the 5th edition Grey Knights Codex from 2010, which I have never seen before. Some of you know that I started my Warhammer journey at the very tail end of 7th edition, and I chose Grey Knights, obviously, and I've been here since for 6 or 7 years, but this is from a time before. One of the things of, the pieces of baggage that you carry with you as a Grey Knights player is you meet anybody who was playing Warhammer back in the, this era, and they will be angry with you because they have dark memories of when this codex reigned supreme. At least that's what people told me. So I know nothing about this. I have not looked in it. I literally just got it in the mail. I haven't even opened it up yet. So you guys are going to experience my first reactions to everything in here. And it'll be a fun little trip down memory lane for some of you and a whole new experience for me. What a cool time. Why am I so weird? Welcome to my very messy desk, as always. I've got my phone camera perched up on a pretty precarious situation right now, so if everything falls and I have to reset, apologies, that's what that happened. Thus is the lament of the poor YouTube content creator. Anyway, so this is brand new. Well, it's not brand new, it's brand new to me. 2010 feels not that far away, but I guess that was 13 years ago. 13 years and almost 5 editions, 10th edition coming out soon. So the first thing, the cover. I'm honestly not a huge fan of this cover. I know this is some venerable old Grey Knights art, but it doesn't do it for me. And the reason is, it is the cover of the Ben Counter Omnibus, which is not good. This is a lot of words that aren't very great. I've only read the first part of this book, to be fair, but it was difficult to swallow. I've heard some things about later in it that get even weirder, and someday I'll return to it just so I can do a fun review of it, but it is not the best. If you're looking for good Grey Knights fiction, in contrast, this book is fantastic. The Emperor's Gift by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, who is just, and everybody knows he's an incredible author. But this book is great. It's also a lot thinner. It's much more digestible. I love this book. It's really, really good. Anyway, back to what we're talking about, which is the Grey Knights Codex. So, my first impression, very clearly the art budget, just for the graphic design space, has gone up in the last 5 editions, because all the new stuff is just absolutely astounding with the new codices. But still, you know what? First impressions. All right, let's see what this book's about. All right, we got some classic models displayed. Oh, an old Keeper of Secrets. Oh, that's fun. What a terrible model that was. I like this. The black and white art is a nice touch. Ooh, is this whole book going to be black and white? Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, great. So I'm just going to kind of go through sort of slowly at a time. This is nice, how this codex works. What a good touch. I don't know why this paragraph is here. It should just say, because they're the best. Why would you collect any other army? Some more classic Grey Knights art. The Grey Knights, the Imperium of Man, is a realm engulfed in darkness and war, beset by enemies beyond counting. Against these threats stand the armies of... Wait, this is just the generic... This is just the generic quote from... Oh, more about Grey Knights down here. There's a lot of lore. This will be fun to go through at some point. Ooh, there's a lot of lore. This feels like an old book. Some more classic art. Very cool. Oh, they talk about the dead fields here. That's nice. My big problem with the 9th edition codex is there's not a lot of small pieces of lore thrown about. It's a pretty bare bones book with some rules, but I wanted more of the details about the lore, which it looks like this book is giving so far. We talk about the Terminus Decree. That's always excellent. The Terminus Decree is really interesting for anybody who doesn't know what it's about. I'd recommend looking into it. Broadsword Station. People don't really mention that a lot. Demos, lovely. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Talking about chapter organization, the various brotherhoods. So there are 8 brotherhoods. I wonder if they talk about them in here, or if the detail was something like the detailing of the individual chapter or brotherhoods is something they added later. Blah blah blah. Brother Captain's Grandmaster. No, it seems kind of unchanged. This is rad as hell, by the way. I'd love that as a phone background. Here's a classic Grey Knights quote. I always reference this one to a lot of folks whenever they're being recalcitrant stupid. There are those who might see contradiction between our abhorrence of the demon and our wielding of sorcery. Yet these contradictions live only in the minds of weak men, and we are not accountable to such as they. I just really like that one. Ooh, a nice timeline. Oh god, this is... Okay, so this is where we might see some bad stuff. So there's one aspect that if you're a Grey Knights fan and you got some Grey Knights detractors in your like local play group, they'll always reference the Blood Tide, which sucks. It's a piece of fiction from maybe this book. Oh god, here it is. I'm gonna not read that because it's depressing. But anyway, it's a bad piece of fiction that has been since been retconned that made no sense. I'd recommend looking into it just to learn how some bad writing is done. Was this the Matt Ward Codex that people... Oh, it is the Matt Ward... Oh, this is the Matt Ward Codex that people are always talking about. Well, that makes sense. Nope, we're not going to go into that. That's some bad fiction. We're not gonna do that. Let's just keep going and see what's through here. There's a lot of lore in here, which I really like. I am hesitant now that I realized this is the Matt Ward book and also that the Blood Tide is in here because those aren't great signs for good lore. I guess I should mention why I'm not a big fan of Matt Ward stuff. In the context of Grey Knights, I don't know him outside of Grey Knights, but in the context of Grey Knights, he chose to do some things such as the Blood Tide, which seem like they're there purely for shock factor and purely to seem like grimdark and hard, and it just comes off as stupid, and it doesn't make any sense, and it weakens the fiction, in my opinion. But fortunately, they've since retconned the Blood Tide in later codices. Okay, now we're getting into the rules. Brotherhood of Psychers, a classic. A Grey Knight can use one psychic power each turn. The unit counts as a single psyker and follows the normal rules. Use the leadership of its Justicar. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, interesting. Perils of the Warp is specifically resolved against the Justicar. Psychic Mastery levels. I don't know what that is, but I hear people talk about that sometimes. A vehicle with this Psychic Pilot special rule is treated as being a Psyker, and leadership 10 for the purposes of Psychic tests. Oh, that's really cool. The Aegis. What did the Aegis do back then? If an enemy Psyker attempts to target a model with the Aegis special rule, he suffers a -1 penalty to his leadership for the purpose of the Psychic tests. Ooh, okay, so I imagine that Psychic tests... I've been playing a lot of Horus Heresy lately, as evidenced by all of my works in progress to the left here. So I imagine Psychic tests worked back in 5th edition like they do in Horus Heresy, where in order to do a Psychic test, you have to roll under or equal to your leadership, and that's it. Which makes sense for the Psychic Pilot having leadership 10, it's pretty good. So this is cool. The Aegis making it so that it's -1 penalty to leadership. So similar to how the Aegis works nowadays, where it ignores mortals on a 5. A small boost to help us against psychic powers. Ooh, Grandmasters. Okay, we're already into the data sheets, which are less well organized than they used to be. Okay, so I recognize a lot of these stats from Horus Heresy. Grandmaster Coven. Digger Knob. So I recognize a lot of this kind of stuff from Horus Heresy. So we've got Initiative 5, which a normal Space Marine in Horus Heresy has Initiative 4. So assuming it's similar, then that means he's good. Ballistic skill of 6, weapon skill of 6, what a badass. Leadership 10? What? My Grandmasters nowadays have a leadership of 9. That's too bad. That's fine. Well, that's alright. Oh, this is cool. The Grandmaster can assign special battlefield roles to units under his command. Roll a d3 and choose that many infantry, jump infantry, monstrous creature, or walker units in your army. These nominated units have one of the following roles for the duration of the game. That's fun. That's kind of a cool little buff that's not just reroll ones. I don't know what that is, but that was on there from the previous owner. Hammer of Righteousness, reroll wound rolls of 1, Shield of Blades. Unit gains the counterattack special rule. Unsure what that is. Spear of Light. The nominated units have the Scout special rule. Oh, neat. So that means they can forward deploy, I'm imagining. Unyielding Anvil. The nominated units can claim objectives if they were troops. Interesting. It just lists his psychic powers. Hammerhand and Psychic Communion. Brother Captains. Psychic Communion. This is a thing. This is a thing that I wish Brother Captains had nowadays. Brother Captain's rerolling ones to wound in the modern edition is not very flavorful. There's not a whole lot there. It'd be cool if they did something a little more interesting and psychically focused. So what does this do? By concentrating his psychic potential, a Grey Knight commander can make contact with the minds of his fellows, guiding them to the battlefield at the very moment they are needed. Many a battle has been won or lost on timely arrival. Ooh, we can adjust reserve roll to see if people show up. That's kind of fun. Ooh, a lot of librarian psychic powers. Oh, I've heard about these. Oh, interesting. So Sanctuary makes chargers have to go through difficult terrain, which is interesting. The summoning seems to be give infinitying somebody back to you, which is kind of cool. Vortex of Doom. So I'd play Horus Heresy, so I know that Strength 10 is real good. It's instant death on a lot of things. AP 1 is real good. It makes vehicles explode. Heavy 1 and Blast 1. So that's big. It's a big boom. If the Psychic Text fails, place the Vortex over the Librarian. That's hilarious. That's awesome. Oh, interesting. Smite is a Librarian shooting attack. I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if Smite was only for Grey Knights back then. No, probably Psychers across the game had Smite. Here we go. Fine, I'll take a moment before I look at the Terminators because I'm going to get distracted looking at Terminators. So we're going to look at the Brotherhood Champion first. What's he got? He's got an initiative of 5, that's pretty good. He's got a weapon skill of 7, that's sick as hell. So he's real good at swinging a sword. A higher weapon skill is what you want in these old editions like this. Anointed Blade. The swords traditionally borne by Brotherhood champions are said to be amongst the oldest of the chapter's blades. The Anointed Blade is a Nemesis Force sword. Additionally, any failed attempts to wound can be re-rolled. Ah, man, Brotherhood champions nowadays just have a regular-ass Nemesis Force sword. Okay. Titan's Herald. On a player turn in which he assaults a Brotherhood champion and all members of a squad he has joined can re-roll failed rolls to hit. That's sick. Oh, the perfect warrior. So this was a thing in 8th edition that they took away with 9th edition, which Swordstorm, Blade Shield, and Rapier Strike. You can only do Swordstorm and Blade Shield in 8th edition. I'm not familiar with Rapier Strike, but this was such a fun thing for the guy to have. It just makes him... Nowadays, all he does is just, I have a sword and a hit and it costs 70 points. But here, you can make him more like hit better, or you can make him more protective in melee combat. It's a really cool little adjustment to his character. I never realized this art was a Brotherhood champion. It makes a lot of sense now. He's dual wielding the sword. That's cool. Neat. You used to be good, and I have a model for that I really like. I hope you're good going into 10th edition. Here we are, the greatest unit in the entire game. The Grey Knight Terminators. Nothing speaks so clearly of the Grey Knight's status as an elite amongst elites as the famed Terminator squads that form the heart of their armies. Most Space Marine chapters, be they a fresh founding or a fragment of the legions of yore, can count themselves lucky to own perhaps a few score suits of Terminator armor. The Grey Knights, on the other hand, can muster enough tactical dreadnought armor to outfit almost their entire chapter. Hell yes. Alright, so what do we got? Typical Space Marine stat line. Boop, boop, boop. I noticed that they don't have moves here. I wonder if move was just standard across the game for like infantry and stuff. But standard Space Marine stat line. Are you kidding me? Terminators had a leadership of 9. Why do they have 8 and 7 nowadays? Look at that. The regular ass Grey Knight Terminator has 9. That's fine. Anyway, there's some cool stuff here. Terminators are just so sick. Strike squads and interceptor squads. Interesting that they throw them on the same page like this. I'm also noticing no force organization, like there's no troops or elites or anything like that. Interesting. I wonder if it's later in the book that it shows what every unit is. So they're pretty standard. See, they have a... Okay, so I'm going to complain about leadership again. I always complain about leadership. So, Terminators, in most Space Marine chapters, have a leadership of 8, and their sergeant has a leadership of 9. In Grey Knights, they have a leadership of 7 and a leadership of 8. Everybody tells me this is because my Terminators are troops, they're not veterans. But look at here. These guys, they have the regular Power Armor Space Marines have an 8 and a 9, whereas Terminators have a 9 and a 9. So it used to be the case that we had better leadership. I'm complaining too much. Let my brothers practice their swordplay. They can finish off whatever is left. That's cool. Purgators, interestingly, everybody has the Hammerhand psychic power. Paladins, another classic unit. Weapon skill of 5, that makes sense. Oh, the Apothecary is part of the Paladin squad before. Weird. Well, he has a power called Holocaust, which is unfortunate. Tech Marines. They have a bizarre amount of representation in Grey Knight books. There's a Tech Marine in this book. He's really cool. He's like a trainee. Rhinos and Razorbacks. Psychic Pilot. So that means they could cast powers, which is really cool. Fortitude. The Grey Knight Pilot triggers the vehicle's psycho-reactive armor plating, recalibrating its systems. This power may be used in the Grey Knight's movement phase. If the psychic test is successful, any crew shake and crew stun results already on the vehicle are nullified and no longer apply. That's really neat. So, in the lore, and they talk about this all the time in the lore of all the codices, there's psychic circuitry built throughout the vehicles because there's psychic pilots, so they can utilize the armor as an extension of the Aegis. But the 9th edition codex, the vehicles don't get any sort of psychic bonus at all, which is too bad. But that's all right. All right, where are we going now? Dread Knights. From what I understand, these were motherfuckers back then and made people really angry. Awake now, O Dread Knight, lend me your strength and fortitude, and I shall reward thee with righteous purpose. That's fun. Dread Knight armor. A model wearing Dread Knight armor has a 2-up save and 5 invulnerable save. It's worse than nowadays. Dreadnoughts! You love to see dreadnoughts. What is this? Reinforced Aegis. The psychic test leadership penalties caused by the Aegis are increased to -4 if the target of the psychic power is within 12 inches of the dreadnought. Oh man, that's really cool. That's neat. So dreadnoughts were like a psychic sort of shield, because they're ancient, renowned warriors encased in a sarcophagus, and so they're spreading their psychic power to protect their brothers. That's really fun. That'd be a really cool rule if we still had that. Land Raiders, excellent. Storm Raven gunships. From what I understand, this was also the first book where the Grey Knight flyers were in. Lord Caldor Drago, Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights. What a badass. Also, I love this picture of him fighting the Keeper of Secrets. It's a classic. Alright, he seems to be a bad man there. The Titan Sword. Master crafted force weapon with the Demon Bane rule. Additionally, any close combat attacks that Drago directs against a unit contains one or more demons or psychers result in strength 10. That's cool. Ooh. There's a lot of lore here for him. I'm going to enjoy reading that. Grandmaster Mordrak. What? Mordrak? There were rules for Mordrak back then? Oh, that's really cool. So he had, Mordrak had this, he has a bodyguard of, dead paladins who, appear in, ghostly green, flame around him. That's really cool. So I wonder if they, let's see, ghostly bodyguard, an army that includes Mordrak can also include a unit of ghost knights. Ghost knights always have the stealth special rule due to their spectral nature. That's so cool, so you could bring him along. That's fun. Brother Captain Stern, no one's ever cared about you. No one's ever cared about you at all. Castellan Crow, also a classic. I wonder if the Black Blade of Antwer, he does not draw upon its powers, relying only on its physical properties and his own skill at arms. The Blade of Antwer is therefore treated as a close combat weapon. Yes! Okay, so this is how it was in 8th edition as well. The Black Blade of Antwer had a strength of 4, an AP of 0, and 1 damage. Because purposefully, Castellan Crow is not utilizing the power of this demon sword. He is containing it, so he's just whacking people with an inert stick. In 9th edition, they made Crow's Black Blade of Antwer a force sword, so it's AP 3 and 2 damage, which is better, but the flavor of him, refusing to give in to the power of the Black Blade is gone. That's fun. Fucking Anvil Thawne. Oh man, I don't know if anybody knows about him, but Anvil Thawne is a perpetual, so he lives forever. Whenever he dies, he just appears later, which is so cool. I can't believe, I wonder if they have some rules for him. He's not in the newer codices. I wonder if he's got some rules for there. Every time Thawne is removed as a casualty, I leave a suitable counter in place to mark the spot where he died, with quotations. Roll a d6 at the start of each of your subsequent turns. If the result is 4 or more, place him back on the battlefield with his wounds restored, within 1 inch of the counter. He's treated as a separate unit from this point. That's awesome. That's so cool. Oh, I'm going to read about this? That'll be fun. He was always just reading about him, on the internet, he was always a fun character. It'd be really cool to see him around more. What the fuck? Is this? No, I'm not going to skip ahead. There's Inquisitors in this book? Oh man, so this is Ordo Malleus and shit as well. Oh man, that's so cool. That would be so rad to be able to actually field Inquisitors in a Grey Knights army from the Grey Knights Codex. Classic. Ooh, Inquisitor Valeria. I don't know you. Yes. Look at all this. This is all like supplementary stuff you can include in their army. A Banisher. Though the Inquisitor is first and foremost a man of science, he knows full well that faith can prove to be both his most enduring armor and his most potent weapon against the demon. So our many Inquisitors accompanied by Banishers. Cool. This is just like Inquisitorial retinue. Oh man, it'd be so cool to have Valencia march into battle with some Arcoflagellants. Oh man, this is so cool. This is the best part of this so far. And Anvil Thawne. And Grey Knight Terminator leadership. This is so rad. Death Cult Assassins. Monkey. A warrior acolyte. You could just customize an entire like Inquisitorial warband to travel along with your Grey Knights. And a Chimera! That's a nice touch. So they have a transport to go around. Assassins. The Assassins are in this book. So this might also, it's in addition to being Grey Knights, it's also like Imperial accessories. Same Assassins we've always had. Here we go. Nemesis Force weapons. The Doom Fist used to be a Nemesis weapon. Nowadays the Doom Fist isn't a Nemesis weapon, so it doesn't trigger with some rules that trigger off of Nemesis weapons. That's too bad. That's alright. Nemesis Force Sword, Force Halberd, Demon Hammer, Warning Stave, Falchions, Doom Fist, Greatsword. Okay, there's nothing different on there. Demon Blade. That's so cool. There's so many options here. This is a nice little page. All the... A Hell Rifle. What is a Hell Rifle? A Hell Rifle. A weapon such favored by radical inquisitors, the Hell Rifle closely resembles an antique firearm. In reality, it is a highly sophisticated weapon that employs an array of containment, shielding, and galvanic impellers to fire razor-sharp shards of demonic matter. What the hell? That's so cool. Needle pistols. Oh man, there's so much cool junk in here. Oh, vehicle stuff that you can put on. That'd be really cool. Warp stabilization field. A vehicle with a warp stabilization field can be the subject of the librarian's summoning psychic power, so you can gain infinity them back to the librarian. It's really fun. I like it. Oh, there's some cool stuff here. Servo skills! You can give people servo skills. That's cool, because I've given some of my characters servo skills. It'd be really cool to see that as a war gear choice again. That's fun. Mustering the Knights. Your first task is to choose an HQ unit, the noble warrior who's going to lead your army. Brother captains and grandmasters are sound choices, with enough close combat muscle to overwhelm pretty much any foe. That's really fun. Oh, yes. I love all this old art of models. I don't know, for some reason the blue backgrounds also reminds me of being in like Games Workshops in like 2005. It's really neat. You know what is weird? These are the same models that I'm gushing over nowadays that I'm still, that I'm still building and painting these days. Yeah, classic Forward World Dreadnought. Yeah, you can tell that the Storm Raven had just come out at this point because it's got a 2-page spread. I should get a Storm Raven. I have one, but it's from my early days of painting and it doesn't look very good. Oh, all the Inquisitorial shit. This is so cool. Do they have a model of, what's her name? Inquisitor Valeria? I don't think so. Yeah, Crusaders. Stormtroopers. Oh, man, Monkey. Ah, excellent. A lot of those models are current models. Except for that ancient Keeper of Secrets in the back. Ah, Grey Knights are so cool. Grey Knights army list. Okay, now we get into like points and stuff, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So this is mostly the same rules that we saw earlier, but in a condensed form, it looks like. Ghost Knights, so they can get accompany Mordrak. That's so cool. God, man, that'd be so cool if I could still use him nowadays. If I can use him in 10th, I'm gonna kit bash and model up Mordrak immediately. No one's ever cared about Brother Captain Stern. Elites before troops, just like Horus Heresy. Troops. Ah, it's so cool to see Terminators as troops. And interestingly, the 200 points is pretty similar to what they are nowadays. Ooh, only one guy could replace his Nemesis Force Sword with a Nemesis Warding Stave back then. Oh. And the Banner Bearer was in the squad. Ah, okay, so the Interceptors were fast attack. Nemesis Dreadnought. Also similar points cost to nowadays. Another summary. This is kind of a nice page. That's cool. You can just, at a glance, grab everybody's like weapon skills, toughness, things like that. That's nice. That's a cool little touch. That's everything. That's the whole book. Well, that was a really fun little trip. I enjoyed that immensely. I'm really looking forward to 10th edition. Just a change up of everything, and I'm excited for new rules for Grey Knights. I don't care if they're good or not, I just like playing with new toys. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope that was kind of fun for you. I really enjoyed that. I'm happy I have this, and I will add it to my pile of stuff that I don't know what to do with. Well, thanks, everybody. You have a nice week, and I'll see you next week with something different.